Hello, welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, which means another reading vlog. This one will probably last a week, at least, but because I want to finish all my library books. So I've talked about these a multitude of times. This is actually the first time I've actually had this book with me. This was still on hold the last time I talked about my TBR, so I finally have it. I picked it up this week. This is the last one that will be due, obviously, because I just got it. It's The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the one I've talked about the least because I haven't had it. I don't want to give a synopsis of this one because it kind of spoils the end of the second one, but Taryn's in trouble, shenanigans ensue. I think that's pretty much all I'm going to say on this so that I don't ruin the second book. Even if the second book made me angry. So that's The Queen of Nothing. I want to read this week. What I want to start with, however, as I've already talked about in my TBR, is A Study in Drowning by Eva Reid. I did read the synopsis of this. It does sound like a literature student. No, I'm sorry. An architectural student who is obsessed with fairy tales gets the chance to basically refurbish her favorite author's home, but it's falling apart, and her other obstacle is a literature student. Why is it so hard for me to say? But he is trying to prove that her favorite author is a fraud. So they have to work together to piece together the legacy, the author's legacy, and then there's other stuff that happens. I'm not sure what else happens, but secrets begin to unfold. It's basically how I'm going to interpret that. So that is A Study in Drowning. I really want to start with this one. I don't know why, I'm just drawn to this one. The next one I really want to try and finish this week, and As Good as Dead. I'm gonna try to finish it. I've heard people absolutely love the twist in the middle of this book. I don't like it. I don't like the person taking the characters. So, and I kind of already know how it ends because I got so mad. I just went ahead and read a bunch of reviews, because there are some people who agree with me that this was not the way to go. But it does seem that the popular opinion is that this was done very well, and I can see how it can be done well. I just don't like where it's going, so it's definitely an opinion thing. Like, I give props to Holly Jackson for ending this the way she wanted to. I get that, but I don't like where it's going is the thing, and I know what happens, and I'm just like, kind of makes me mad, but I'm also curious as to how to do it. So, and there's a part of me that wants to finish the series despite how I feel about this book. So this is on this week's TBR. And the last one, because that's the last one, is Killjoy, also by Holly Jackson, and it is the prequel novella, which I don't know how I'm going to feel about a prequel novella with this book series. Maybe it'll be a little better, I don't know. I just know she's at a 1920s fancy dress murder mystery party, and something actually happens, and so she has to become a detective for the first time, apparently, and solve the mystery of the murder mystery party. And it's 3 hours, 6 suspects, 3 hours, 1 murder is literally the tagline on the back. So yeah, that's pretty much my plan this week. Is I want to try and finish my library books, and that I'm not going to start with As Good as Dead because I cannot pick it up right now. So I'm going to try my best. And that's the only problem with library books, that glossy reflection because of the plastic. But I'm going to start with A Study in Drowning just for a small break. I did plan to do a challenge this week, but I don't think my schedule will really allow for a 24-hour readathon this week. and I wanted to do a random number generator designates the amount of pages I read, but I got to like 500 pages and none of these books are 500 pages. And let's be honest, if I were to read 500 pages straight, I'd be sitting there for 2 days, and I definitely don't have time for that. So that's why I didn't do a challenge this week, and it's just going to be a nice relaxing reading vlog instead. And considering it is early spring in Minnesota, funnily enough, it just, before I started filming, there was literally just a spout of hail that came out of literally nowhere. And a notification on my phone that said 15 minutes until rain started, and then 5 minutes later we got hail and a rainbow. It was kind of nice. So I'm expecting to stay in this weekend, and I expect to kind of sit and read most of the weekend. I was going to go out on the patio and enjoy the 80-degree weather, but then it started raining and never mind. So I guess bedroom it is, or maybe in here. I haven't decided yet. But that is pretty much my TBR for this video. I'm going to try my best to finish all these library books. I just don't like me. I'm going to try my best to finish all these library books this week, and that is the plan. And I'm going to get started with A Study in Drowning. See you guys later. Bye. So I started A Study in Drowning last night. I'm on chapter 2 and I already have issues. So I've only made it to page 26. And I personally think, it might be a bit of a nitpick, but I personally think I'm too distracted by kind of the history of this. I don't know where this is supposed to take place. If this is supposed to be like an urban fantasy setting. I do feel like because it's talking about conflict and kind of like almost a religious element, a prologue explaining some of that would have benefited this book a whole lot. I'm really not vibing with this. It's very YA, which isn't a bad thing, but I think I'm understanding that it's not quite up to my taste anymore. Nothing against YA. But I'm not having a good time with this so far. And this morning has not been productive in reading. I woke up late. The first thing I did was listen to my Bible. And then I've had lunch. But I think I'm going to kind of do a course correction here. I'm probably going to try and read this book a little bit more later. but I'm just not in the mood for it right now. And I do feel like because I don't get a lot of time to actually read, because because I'm a wife, I have wife duties, I have a job, I have a normal 9 to 5. So when I do have time to just sit and read, that time is kind of valuable to me. So I don't want to read and finish a book because it's a popular book that other people like if I'm not vibing with it. So I think what I'm going to do, like I said, is kind of do a course correction and kind of read something different and get me out of what I feel like is a little bit of a slump. So I am probably going to officially DNF As Good as Dead because I have no interest in finishing it. I still want to read The Queen of Nothing, but I'm not in as much of a rush to finish it as I am A Study in Drowning, because it's literally due next week. So I don't feel rushed to read it right now. I may finish this, I don't know. I want to give it a fair chance and maybe get like 25% of the way through. But right now, I'm not vibing with it at all. It's very YA, it's hitting all the YA check boxes like in the first chapter. And it's like, which I guess is not necessarily a bad thing, but it feels formulaic, I think is my thing. Again, not a bad thing. There's a reason like formulas like that work, but I'm not in the mood for that type of writing. And I have really felt the urge to start The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. I'm hoping I enjoy this one a lot more. It's a lot longer. It's not too bad. It's 468 pages, but this kind of seems more what my brain wants to prioritize right now. Again, nothing wrong with The Study in Drowning. I'm already a chapter and a half in, and I'm already having like issues with reading and exposition, because I do feel like this one kind of, it does introduce like interesting elements, like the author of The Sleepers, and then this conflict between two different countries that's kind of just thrown in. It's like, oh, by the way, what if they win the war? Like, what war? What's going on? I do think that a small prologue explaining some of that would be beneficial for a book like this. So you're not going into like the normal world, because I don't know when this is supposed to take place. The author, the protagonist's favorite author, just died, but it's like 191 AD. I'm like, but they have cars. I'm so confused as to what's going on. I'm so confused. I really do think a prologue would have been very helpful in understanding what's going on here. Maybe I'm looking too far into it, but I'm so confused on when this is supposed to take place. And another small nitpick, if Elphie is blonde, why is there a brunette on the cover? Because I'm looking at, like, because when the book starts, oh, I'm thinking of the girl on the cover, I'm thinking of brunette. And then it says something about her golden hair in the first chapter, and I'm like, wait, if she's blonde, why is there a brunette on the cover? I'm apparently just not in the mood to read this book. I'm not going to say it's good or bad, because I don't know. I haven't given it a fair shot, because I've only gotten to like the second chapter. I may continue reading it later, but I think I'm going to officially DNF Good Girl Bad Blood, because I don't care to finish it. I know what happens now, and I don't care to finish it at all. I may kind of not read Killjoy. I don't know yet if I will even try Killjoy, which is the prequel novella. I still like Holly Jackson as a writer. And I commend her for dealing with darker subjects, but I just don't like where this book went, and that's a personal preference for me, and I just don't want to read that. That's not fun for me. I don't want to read that. And maybe be more selective about what I get from the library, from the bookstore. Maybe check out one book from the library at a time instead of like 4, so I'm not so overwhelmed of having everything come out at once. So yeah, I've hit a bit of a dilemma. It is a nice gloomy day to read, and I've done no reading because I'm just not, I have little interest in reading this right now. That this TBR is probably going to change, and it's probably going to start with The Bone Ships. And I'm going to officially DNF As Good as Dead and not finish A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. That one seems, I think that one's harder for me to do because it's the third book and it's like you're halfway through, you might as well finish. But if I'm not having a good time reading it, I don't want to waste my time reading something that I'm not enjoying anymore, if that makes sense. So I want to be more selective about what I'm reading in my relaxing free time. And just read what I enjoy. Like, just because it's not popular doesn't mean it's not good. And just because it's popular also doesn't mean it's good. But I'm not going to be that person that says you can't read popular books. I kind of explained this on Instagram. I have like a very complicated history with the Twilight Saga. Knows the books aren't good, but wants to appreciate their significance in my reading habits. Like, I remember staying up at night when I'm not supposed to be awake reading the Twilight books. They were very important to my reading journey, and I just dismissed them entirely because they were popular to hate on. And I don't want to fall into that trap, but I also want to read books I enjoy and not just because they're the popular thing. But I also don't want to hate on books because they're the popular thing. So I guess that's my update for now. I'm going to take a course correct and I'm going to start The Bone Chips by R.J. Barker, which is the one about the dragon that comes out after many centuries and has that really good intro that I just really want to get started on. Sorry if I let anyone down with this. I know that's a lot. I know it's kind of like a weird update. But honestly, I still want, even with like the YouTube channel, it's still very hard to just kind of read to enjoy it because it's like you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the algorithms, and I don't get that many views, and that's okay because I'm doing this as a hobby. But if I'm going to do this and if I'm going to continue to read, I need to be enjoying the books I'm reading. And I can't just read it because, oh, this is popular on BookTube. Or this is popular on BookTok. Because BookTok has stung me a couple of times with books I just don't care for. And it's not because they're bad. They're just not in my preference. I'm rambling. So I think I'm going to get started reading. I know it's late in the day and I am keeping up with the Twins game. But I think I'm gonna give this book a shot and see if I can course correct and enjoy what I'm reading and sharing that with my followers, my subscribers. Because it's not just about reading the books that are popular, it's about reading because you love doing it. And I love reading and I want to keep that at the forefront, that I'm doing this because I love reading, not because it's all about the algorithm and everything. It's not just about that. And this is a very niche, BookTube I feel like is a very niche subject anyway. I'm getting very serious right now. So if I'm gonna do this and continue to do this, I need to remember that the reason I'm doing this is because I love reading. So I have to take that time that I do have to relax and read, to get lost in a book and not just say I'm reading this because I've heard it's good, but I've read a lot of YA recently and I'm just no longer in the mood for YA, and I think that's the big thing. So I'm going to take a break from the Study in Drowning, even though I'm only a chapter and a half in. I'm going to DNF As Good as Dead. I still want to read The Queen of Nothing because I am fascinated by how that's going to end. Holly Black, you have me there. I do want to see how this ends as much as The Wicked King frustrated me. I want to see how you fix this. But I need a break from YA, so I'm going to pick this up. And I will see you guys with an update later. Bye. almost a week since I've updated this vlog. It's been an interesting week for me. Work has been stressful. So I'm gonna get as much reading done this week as I wanted to, and I didn't want to finish the vlog off by not even getting halfway through the book I'm reading. I have only been getting about a chapter in a night the last week, mostly because I've started my medication for the month that makes me really sleepy for 12 days. So that's a whole different thing I don't want to get into in my reading vlogs. So I only get about an hour in, but that hour of reading before I go to sleep is very relaxing for me, so I love doing that. Luna's high. She's got her head on the windowsill. But I guess I should probably at least update on The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. I like this. Like, I really like this. It's definitely a palate cleanser from what I've been reading. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with YA, but this is just such a palate cleanser from the normal YA tropes. And it's been so good. It is a little slow, but so I can kind of understand why it has the lowest rating of the series in Goodreads. It's because it's kind of slow. I'm 171 pages in. I'm on chapter 18, and they're just now going on this epic journey that I've talked about for several chapters. But the thing about an epic fantasy like this is it's slow because I feel like you're learning about the world where this takes place in. So there's a lot of world building going on. And I appreciate that a lot. Like, from my understanding, there are, I think, 3 goddesses that they worship at the 100 Isles. Maybe I should probably start with this. Joran is our main character, who was a fisherman and somehow ended up on a ship of the dead, which is the Black Ships. Which all of the ships are made of dragon bones. The Black Ships are just these dragon bones painted black. That's all that means. But they're basically the ship of the dead. So they're basically people who have been condemned to death. Like, they're alive, but they're soon to... I'm not quite sure how that works, actually. But they're the ship of the dead, basically. The ship they are on is called the Tide Child, which is why it's called the Tide Child Trilogy. We start with Joran, who is challenged to basically a duel with this woman, Mies, or Lucky Mies, which is actually the person who says, "Give me your hat," in the beginning of the book. That whole interaction, that intrigued me. So that's who that was. And there was a big battle that ensued, and so they're back, like, in the capital, and they're not supposed to be there, but because of who Mies is, they're there. That's where they are. They're trying to get their ship repaired because in the middle of a battle, because Joran isn't a great deck keeper. He was shipwife, which is basically the captain, of the ship. He wasn't the best deck keeper, which is basically like first mate, and didn't tell the shipwife, "Hey, there's a reef here." So the ship ran aground. I don't know if that's like a huge spoiler or not, but that it happens within the first couple of chapters. So they're now in the capital, and they've witnessed a few things. And this book has a very interesting kind of mythology or religion to it, where they basically worship 3 goddesses: the hag, the mother, and something else. The maiden. The hag, the maiden, and the mother. And they do different, I don't remember quite, they do different things. But they really revere women who survive childbirth. If a woman doesn't survive childbirth, their offspring is basically considered weak. They're left to raise a father, and they're part of like a lower class. Women who survive childbirth go up in society. The men who father those babies, not so much. Oh, and the catch with that is the woman's firstborn, if she survives, is known as a corpse, is sacrificed to these 3 goddesses and known as a corpse light, meaning they're there to keep like the ship safe or something. It's I don't want to know what that looks like, but apparently it's called a corpse light to keep the ship safe from the hag. What I understand about that. And one of the ladies, she's basically kind of the ruler of the 100 Isles right now, is like a big deal because she has given birth to 13 healthy babies. 13, which is a big deal because some women don't survive the first child. So she's very celebrated for her fertility. That's kind of what I've gotten from it so far. Also, there was a sighting of one of these dragons we haven't seen in centuries, and they have to go on a trip with it. They're set up on an assignment to keep it from the other country that they're fighting against. I hope that's not all spoiler, because holy crap, that's a lot. But I don't normally do good updates with my channel, so it is so interesting how this is written. I like Joran as a character. I like being introduced to this world through his eyes. I like that he has Lucky Mies as a kind of a mentor into kind of understanding kind of how to be a better deck keeper, because he wasn't a good shipwife, but he wasn't the best shipwife because he was just always drunk. So she's taken over, and now they're about to go back out to sea and take this epic journey, and I'm 171 pages through the book. So yes, it's very slow, but I think I have a better understanding of the world this takes place in, so I appreciate it. That's the thing about epic fantasy. There's so much world building, and I can't wait to see what happens. I'm kind of curious what the other books are about, to be perfectly honest, but I am enjoying this. I have been so bad at reading this today. I really started reading like an hour ago. I slept in so late this morning. I slept until 11. I played on TikTok, finally got in the shower, and then spent like 30 minutes or so in my Bible today around 5 p.m. My husband's like, oh, I'm on my way home from a hike, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm still in the middle of this. Can hopefully be done when you get back. I was not done. I'm like, dude, I just finished my Leviticus reading for today, and he's like, which one you got? I'm like, well, I got my one chapter in Psalms and one in Mark. I'm on a 6-month reading plan, so I'm reading a lot of scripture every day, and I just really got into it today. So I've been very distracted from my reading. I consider that a good distraction, but I've been very distracted today. I consider the Bible a better distraction than TikTok from this, but I am enjoying this very much. So I think this is a good one. If you're really into epic fantasy, I can't say I recommend it yet, I guess, because I'm only 33% of the way through it, but so about a third of the way through it. That's kind of nice. But I'm excited to kind of read the rest of Joran's journey. My issue is I don't want to spoil this for anybody, and I'm talking too much already. So I'm going to get back to reading this until Zach needs me, because we're doing taxes, and I will see you guys in the next update. Hopefully tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but hopefully tomorrow. And yes, I'm wearing my Braves shirt. They won last night, and they're losing tonight. Nice job, guys. You can't take the Georgia. You can take the girl out of Georgia. You can't take the Georgia out of the girl. So I'll be reading my book in my Braves jersey with my sweet tea. That is so TMI, like y'all don't care. But I will see you guys later, hopefully tomorrow, not tonight because it's already dark, and I do need to take that sleepy medicine tonight again that I almost took this morning, which could have been really bad. But because I slept until like 11, I'm not really tired, but I will be. It's gonna be a fun night. I'm not gonna finish Study in Drowning. I think that was more of a softie enough because I just wasn't in the mood. I'm not going to try Killjoy, unfortunately, and As Good as Dead is a hard DNF. Like, that book disappointed me to high heaven. So, I'm going to get back to epic fantasy and read the Bone Ships. I don't see this book hyped up nearly enough, so I get back to reading. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Brave lost. At least the Twins won. Brave won yesterday. What happened? actually forgot to say in my update, there's actually very little foul language in this book. And I thought that until the character of Black Horus, who is a bird, was introduced, and he only knows foul words. And he's a blackbird. So you'll randomly hear curse words from a bird, and you know it's Black Horus. I think it's funny. Hi guys, so yes, I'm still working on this vlog. It has been almost 2 weeks, and I am just now, according to Goodreads, 48% of the way through the Bone Ships. Okay. It is, but if you look at it, it's less than that, I think. Am I crazy? So, I don't know what's going on with me. I've always been like a really slow reader, but I feel like I'm going so much slower through this book than I was expecting. So this vlog is taking forever. It's not that it's bad, like by any means. It's actually really good. I'll get through a chapter or 3 a night, which is probably also not helping. But I think I'm trying to juggle a lot of things like that. Things too right now. Because I'm trying to do Bible reading in the afternoons, because in the morning I don't have the energy, and I know that's not a good excuse, but because I like to really get into it, and I'm reading, and I'm trying to read the entire Bible in 6 months, that's a lot of reading. So I'm trying to get that done, but I'm also trying to get this done, and then I have The Queen of Nothing, which is due in 6 days. So I'm having a little bit of a heart attack and trying not to, but I am on page 247, which is chapter 24 of The Bone Ships, and things are really starting to pick up now. So it's been a while. This book is very slow. It's really character driven, I feel like. It's not bad. I'm interested in where this goes. I just don't know why it's taking me so long to finish it. I'm kind of wondering if some of it is kind of, the text is really small on the pages. Like this is another example, like just the text is really small, and there's not as much spacing as you would normally see like a YA book, which they do have a lot of spacing. Hold on. Like the YA books, bigger text and more spacing, and there's different spacing. So I don't know, it's taking me so long, but yeah, I'm 2 weeks into this book and I'm still not finished with it. It's good. I can, like I've said probably multiple times before, I can understand why it has the lowest rating on Goodreads from the rest of the trilogy. It is slow, but it's an introductory to this world, so there's a lot of world building that needs to be had. Like, they're hinting at possible things that could happen, like they're like hinting at mutinies. I don't know. That there are some characters that Jordan is very sketchy about. They're finally out on their voyage. Halfway through the book, they're basically trying to find the dragon that's been spotted. At this point, and that has literally just started, and that's where I'm at. I don't want to give away too much, but there's a lot of it's very detailed. It's very world building. It's very detail oriented. Like it's almost kind of like Tolkien, where every single detail is important or said in the story. It's very slow like that. Again, doesn't mean it's bad, but I feel like I'm trying to rush through it so I can get it done, because I've been working on this vlog for 2 weeks. That is where I'm at. Hopefully tomorrow I will actually get a lot more of this read. I'm actually spending all day tomorrow at the doctor's office. Yeah, I'm one of those. So I have several appointments tomorrow all in one day. One of them is a kidney function, so I'll be in a bit. I'll be waiting an hour to pee so that should give me plenty of time to read some more. Waiting rooms. Hopefully this gives me some more time. Tomorrow will give me some more time to read. Thing is, I have to go to bed early tonight because I have to be at the doctor at 7 a.m. And I don't leave till after 3 o'clock. Yay. So there's that. So hopefully tomorrow I can get some more time to read this, get a little bit closer to the end and a little closer to, I don't know, 70% of the way through, other than not even 50. Yeah, like I have 220 pages left of this book. So I don't know if maybe Goodreads counts like the extras in the back or the little appendix back here, which is the ranks in the fleet and the 100 Isles. You have to learn like a whole new vernacular to kind of understand what's going on. You can kind of guess it through context, but it's like, it's helpful to read the appendix before you start reading about what's going on the ship. It is really, really good. Don't get me wrong. I have always been a slower reader. This is an adult epic fantasy. So it's not as, the font is not as big, it's not as spaced out, and it's not as short. But even when I look at like the Twilight book, which is like almost 498 pages, the text is a lot bigger and the spacing is different. So, y'all, I'm trying to get there, I promise. And it's not like I'm not enjoying it. It's just I'm on my medication. I have to take it the first 12 days of every month. And it makes me so tired that I fall asleep reading. And Zach has to come in, take the book, and has occasionally not know where to put my bookmark. So I have to go through all of that. And so that makes me tired. I have to get early tonight because I have to get up early tomorrow. So I'll probably read for the next hour or so and then probably have no choice but to fall asleep. So that is my update for now. It's not the best update because I don't want to give this book away, but that's literally what it's about. And it's about Joran and his journey through here of like being a deck keeper. And I want to finish it so bad. I'm having a good time reading this. It's going a lot longer than I thought it would, especially for something that's less than 500 pages. So that is my update. Hopefully I can get to The Queen of Nothing at some point so I can actually read it before I have to turn it in, because there's most likely a hold on it because someone else is reading this series right now. I know, because the books are always missing. So that is my update. I did finish Iron Lake by William Kent Krueger, which was a thriller mystery from a Minnesota local author. So that's why I got into his series. That was interesting. I gave it 4 stars. And I'm starting work on audiobook. I'm starting The Woman in White, which is a classic and is very interestingly written so far. I'm only 15% of the way through that. 24-hour audiobook. I think this is going to take a while. So that is my update. Thank you so much for being patient with me as I try to enjoy the journey of this book. I'm trying to get through it, but it's also like I don't want to rush because it's like I'm trying to enjoy the book as well. So thank you so much for your patience on this, and I will see you guys in a little while. Bye. Okay, I made a stop at the library after my appointments because it's right here. I went in with 1 book in mind and came out with 3. So the one I went in for was, I never read this book originally. I checked it out last year, and it's The Whale Called Killer by Eric Hoyt. I didn't ever finish it. I didn't even finish it when I had it last time, almost a year ago. And I feel like I'm going to be in the mood for nonfiction in a little while, so. So I put the bad lighting, it's my car light. That helps a little, okay. So, I checked this back out. Hopefully I'll actually get to read it this time. Okay, hopefully I will put the time in to read it this time. The problem is I got 2 more. So hold my breath. I got Into Great Silence by Evis Salites. It's basically somebody who worked in a salmon hatchery and then saw an orca for the first time and was obsessed, and we're like talking the 80s. And she was deeply troubled by the Exxon spill in 1989 off the coast of Alaska, which I did actually have to look into for my toxicology class in college. And 22 orcas were killed in that accident, and then none of them calved. So this should be really interesting to get a better look from the perspective of someone who loves orcas probably as much as I do. I'm gonna turn this off too. Nope. So this should be interesting. They're not long. The issue is I have to put in the time to read these. And yeah, the last one I was seeing if they had any more of R.J. Barker's books, because I was just curious. And they only had the 3rd one, and I found something else, which is The Tropic of Serpents, a memoir by Lady Trent by Marie Brennan. I read the first one, I think in February, by Strictly Audiobook, but I don't think my library had any more of the audiobooks on Libby, and this just happened to be sitting on the shelf. So this one is probably the ones I need to like really finish, because the first one was missing, meaning somebody's probably reading this. So I checked this out. I did save the audiobook on Spotify, so it's on my albums and stuff. So my steering wheel's in the way. So I checked it out. I'm in a weird fantasy / nonfiction mood. Don't ask questions because I don't know either. And an update on the bone ships. I'm on page 380. I got through a huge chunk at my appointments today. So some stuff has gone down. I really love Jordan's character development, and I'm gonna stop there because all of this traffic is making me nervous, and I'm gonna go home and go rest because it's been a long day. I will update you guys later. Bye. I did it. I finished it. Did it take 2 weeks? Yes. Was it worth it? Also yes. I gave this book a 4-star. I really enjoyed the bone ships. I love Jordan's character development. I like basically the character development of the entire crew of the Tide Child. It's just very hopeful and it's really good. Whoop, that was lightning. Sorry. I started this vlog in a storm and then to get in a storm. Hi. That was weird. But anyway, I don't have much longer on this SD card, so I need to kind of get to it. This book is really good. It is very slow at the beginning, but there's a lot of world building going on, and there's a lot of preparation for what's going on, because you kind of go from, I'm not gonna lie, the crew of the Tide Child does not start as a functioning crew. So they have to develop, like the whole crew almost develops as a character. The creatures are really interesting. I love the lore. Was it worth spending 2 weeks on it? Absolutely. It's a little slower, but I liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the experience. The reason it's a 4-star is really because of that really slow beginning. And there were parts where I was like, by the end of it, there were small parts that I was frustrated. That's thunder. Or I was frustrated by the end of it, because, not by the end of the story, but like the last 30 pages, it's like, okay, all of this has happened. What do you mean something else is about to happen? There's 30 pages left. You don't have the time for this. And he did. He made time. he 100% made it worth it. But that last few pages with a lot of suspense, because it's like, I mean, it stresses out the reader because it's like, what do you mean this is happening? There's 30 pages left in this book. What do you mean something else is coming? So I got a little frustrated by that little spot, but I realized now it was a lot of tension buildup, and you're supposed to have kind of feel that tension. The beginning is really slow, but I do think it's for a good reason, but it did make it a little harder to get into at first. But it was totally worth it in the end. I like Joran. I like his character development. There is a lot of a kind of blood in this one, obviously, because they're, you know, seafarers of the Ship of the Dead. Shipfaring crew, I believe, is what I should probably call them. And it's just really well done. I love the lore. I love his description of the creatures in this world that we don't know. Very visually, you can very much visualize it in your imagination. I do like the cliffhanger this ended on. I'm like, because I'm like, now I need book 2. So it's a good 4-star. Another reason it's a 4-star is kind of a nitpick. And it's mostly grammatical errors that happen throughout the book, and there's quite a few of them. There are some grammatical errors in this copy, at least, that really should have been caught in editing. So that kind of can drag you out, especially when you're trying to understand what's going on, and it feels like it's like what's going on and you have like a word or an extra word somewhere. Again, it should have been caught in editing, so I don't really blame the author, as I've written stories before, like not very good ones. I was in middle school, bear with me. But I wrote stories and I went back and read them and went, how did I miss this when I edited this 20 times? Because I read it as it was meant, as what I meant to write down, but that's not what I wrote down. So that's why. So I'll give him a pass on that, but it was a little bit, and I say it's a little bit of a nitpick because it's not, it doesn't really, it pulls you out of the book a little bit, but it doesn't really affect the overall storytelling. That was a big, sorry, that lightning just like freaked me out. But yeah, totally worth the 2 weeks it took me to read this. I'm so sorry this vlog took so long, but totally worth it. Totally worth the read. I really recommend this for anybody who's into epic fantasy. I should say there's no romance or anything from what I can tell, which I actually kind of appreciate. And I like it. I enjoyed it. So all in all, really recommend The Bone Ships. I cannot wait to get my hands on the second book. This is a book this is a series I want to own. This is a trilogy I would love to own. Can't say the same thing for the Folk of the Year series, which I do have to start soon because this is due in 3 days. And because I spent so much time on this, this is gonna be fun. So I am going to read this. I'll probably just do a review of the whole series and try my best not to give too many spoilers, but it may be a spoiler-filled review so you understand my issues with the first 2 books at least, because I don't know what's gonna happen in this book and I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, so I do have to do this week. So anyway, The Bone Ships, highly recommend. Like if you're into epic fantasy and seafaring crews, and I recommend, it's really good. Hey babe. And that is going to be it from me from this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hopefully I'll have some more time to pee.